This is Glambition Radio, episode number 258. Doors are opening.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Glambition Radio.
Glambition Radio.
Glambition Radio.
Glambition Radio.
Glambition Radio.
Glambition Radio.
Welcome to Glambition Radio. I am your host, Allie Brown. I'm an entrepreneur, mentor, investor, and founder of The Trust, the modern premier network for 7- and 8-figure women leaders. I love thinking big, doing different, and exploring ideas that disrupt the status quo, especially when it comes to women, because we are creating the new models for leadership, business success, making money, and changing the world. And hey, we're doing it with style. So let's go. Happy belated Memorial Day to those of you here in the States. Important holiday, and also nice to have the Monday off. Even when you work for yourself, it's nice to have that day knowing that it's going to be just a nice open day. The kids enjoyed the time with us. We just did the typical, barbecue, pool, hangout. It was nice. And it's officially the start of summer. Here in Arizona, you don't feel it as much. I remember growing up, especially actually in my 20s when I lived in Boston, Memorial Day is when, you would kick it off. You would go to Newport and start the summer share with the girls, and the partying would begin. Now, it just isn't that much like anymore here in the desert. In the desert, it just is kind of a continuum, but we're happy. We've been having sun and fun and barbecues since, like March. So it's still exciting though. It's still an exciting holiday. I titled this episode, Doors Are Opening. And that's a metaphor for a few things right now. One is I'm going to talk about what you should be considering for yourself and your business given the current times, because there are windows of opportunity right now. Now, I'll break all this down in a minute. Number 2, doors are opening very soon for registrations for my event, Iconic, happening on November 3rd and 4th here in Phoenix. Iconic with alliebrown.com. If you already are hearing this and going, I am there, how do I get on the list? It's the priority notification list you want to get on, and I'll tell you more about that a bit later. But the link is Iconic with alliebrown.com. And number 3, there is a door opening here at my own company to come work with us. We are hiring a growth marketing director for The Trust. The Trust is my network for 7- and 8-figure women entrepreneurs. We are powering up and are seeking an amazing person to join our team. Details are on my website if you go to alliebrown.com and head over to the blog. And you'll see the post there with all the details, the kind of person we're looking for, a bit more about the position. There are some things that are flexible. We're open for discussion, but that'll give you the gist of it. And please, our best source of, not only referrals as members of the trust, but team members has always been our own network. So we post it in the usual places, but it's always someone who knows someone who listens to the show or knows who I am or has been to a meeting. So I want to make sure that you're aware we are hiring and to have a look at that or refer it to someone you know. Okay, so let's check in on 2021. This year, it's funny, when 2021 came, we're like, oh, thank God this will be different. It's just the continuation, isn't it? It's the continuation of a wild ride. Should be a much better summer. But in general, it's still very different. But let's look at the past. Let's look at what it has been up to now. We were handed very heavy challenges, especially as female leaders, but also this immense opportunity at the same time. And for many of us, the last 18 months or so, it's delivered the unequivocal certainty that we are here right now for a very big reason. But it's a strange new world. Where do we go from here? That's what this show is about today. Now, there's something I've never done for my live events before, and I want to tell you what is immediately different about this year's Iconic. I've hosted events now for about 15 years, and I've actually never given one a specific theme for the year. So when I decided this was the year to bring back Iconic, I felt strongly called to give it a theme. And the theme is liberation. It's a word you've heard me use before. It was the title of a solo episode at the beginning of this year. If you have not heard that one, make sure you go back and listen to that. It gives a great context for this whole year and some of the things I'm talking about today. Why liberation? Well, in the midst of all the past year's madness, the chaos, the nonsensical happenings, things we'd never seen before, things we would have never imagined before, the upending of most all we knew and would count on every day, there are actually opportunities so immense, both business and personal. They're kind of hard to fathom by most normal folks who are just going along their day. And I'm saying in the midst of and not on the other side of, because on the other side implies we're waiting for all this to work itself out. And do you remember that feeling? Remember last year, 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and we were like, we are in this together, we'll do what it takes. I'm on board. And then it just kind of never ended. And here we are, right? We cannot wait. We cannot wait. Things will not go back to quote normal. And I hate using the words new normal because there's a lot of things that I'm very leery of becoming a normal part of our lives. I don't want them to. That's another show. But right now, let's focus on the doors opening, because this can lead us to our greatest chapters ever. I know women entrepreneurs are going to be such a huge part of leading this charge. How do I know that? Well, the world has never pointed more strongly to the ways that we have always worked best. This is the amazing part. Now let's back up a bit. 2020, I'm going to get a little geeky here with numerology because this is fascinating to me. So 2020 was a 4-year, symbolic of responsibility, order, work, restriction, designed for us to discover our inner resources. We found innovative ways to still live fully and work fully in the midst of limitations. 2021, it's a 5. And what that means, according to my numerology friends, is it's a vibration brimming with opportunities. It's a year of liberation, of truth, of joy. And it's designed to lift you into the open, flexible, divine mind, so we can take delight in discovering our inner and outer resources. We're working more from our own center. We're working from that higher power. We're working from our intuition. We're working from what we know to be true and feeling into that every day. I don't know about you, but stuff's just happening instantly now for me. Things that would have taken me, I'd say, even weeks to make a decision on, or kind of know which way to go, or know the truth about somebody, or just there's an instant knowing. I used to journal for days, trying to find an answer to something I was trying to figure out. And now I just know, oh, nope, this is the date. Let's not do it here. I don't feel like doing this today. I'm going to do that. And there was a magical reason for doing that in the end. Just allowing that magic to come through. Now let's back up even more over the big timeline of where we're at. Some of you who follow this stuff know that after thousands of years, as of December last year, we've entered the age of Aquarius. And I have to admit, all I knew about this a few years ago was that damn song from the 70s, which they played over and over. If you want to hear me sing it, go back to the episode earlier this year on liberation. It was a 70s song by the Fifth Dimension. So right now is a time where humans on Earth are going through a dramatic evolution. We're ascending. Have you heard of some people talking about the ascension? That's from being mere 3-dimensional beings into 5-dimensional beings. Okay, for those of us who have done a lot of work and worked on becoming more of the conscious human, it's been easier than for some others. And on a grander scale, we're witnessing the same struggle for the entire world and the outdated systems that won't evolve. So to break it down, 3D is the physical world we live in. What we only see and can be proven is real. 5D is our higher selves. It's that connection to God. It's working from our intuition. And women, if we allow ourselves, have this power right at our fingertips. It's very natural to us. Now I want you to zone this back into this summer, right now, this very moment, what you're feeling at this very moment. There's probably a distinct, decisive energy that you have right now. Your mind is racing around. You feel like you need to make a decision on things. You're not sure which way to go, maybe. Okay, if you're not tuned in, there may be some indecisiveness. You've got to tune in to that inner voice because that is likely the answer. It's probably not on a spreadsheet. It's what you are feeling right now. Okay, so if you feel like you need to make a decision, that's where you need to go. For some of you, though, you're way ahead. You feel like the lights have come on. You see stuff you didn't see before. You have such an understanding of who you are, why you're here, what you thought was true in the world that's not now, and vice versa. Okay, so make sure now you are in action if you were in that phase. So if you're indecisive, tune in until you feel the answer. If you are past that and you know, now's the time for action. You can feel it. The energy, I'm recording this on Tuesday, right after Memorial Day. Something flipped today. Something has switched on. And I'm now very much more in tune with my energies. I was supposed to record this show on Friday. To my team's dismay, I'm like, I have to wait now till I feel into things because I know there's a reason for it and something will come out of it. We'll have to work with our teams and meet deadlines. But within your scope, within how you now design your life and your business, look for ways that you can give yourself more space to tune in to that inner knowing. By the way, if you haven't heard it, the very last episode we had with Sarah Yagub, a member of my trust, she is amazing. And we got so much great feedback on that conversation about unplugging from the matrix and the stuff we're talking about today. So make sure you go back and listen to that. She'll be at Iconic. So now let's go back to the event and why I'm hosting this, and especially in person. Because the first question I got when I started spreading the word this was going to be happening is this going to be online? Is this going to be a live stream? And I don't do those. A few reasons why it's in person. First of all, something happens in person that does not happen online. If those of you who've read Napoleon Hill's old book, Think and Grow Rich, you remember him? That was where I first learned about the power of the mastermind. It's a great book if you haven't read it, classic. And he talks about how 1 + 1 in the end isn't 2. It's amplified. Like you have a room of people. It's unlimited and infinite new ideas. It's like a new mind is created in the process of all these people coming together. It happens. And it doesn't happen as much online because that's a very linear process when you're in a chat or responding to comments or posts, right? In a conversation, it's better. Maybe you could be verbal online, right? On Zoom or Clubhouse if you do that. I don't know. Maybe I haven't been on Clubhouse. Maybe you're seeing some better activity and idea generation there. But in person, there is nothing like it because they've proven, scientists are seeing this now. We are distinct individuals, yes, but we're completely interconnected with all. And we are connected to each other. And when we are around each other, there's a bit of recalibration that happens. I had one of my members say about our last trust meeting, which was not the one we just had. We had kind of a pop-up gathering because they didn't want to wait till the fall. It was in Miami, and it was her first meeting. And she stood up and shared, after today, nothing will be the same. There is a reset that happens in my rooms. People leave recalibrated at a higher level. That happens when you are in a room with amazing leaders. You don't leave the same. It's impossible. And, the third reason I want to have it in person, to be frank, is to have some closed door conversations about what's going on in our industries, our lives, in the world. And I'm not even talking about the censorship, which is an issue for many people in different industries right now. But we need to get away from our usual lives, our families, our environments, to have real conversations again and remember what that's like. I know even when we're online and even when we're in safe spaces these days, it seems like everything we say comes with a brief filter we have to run it through to be careful not to say the wrong thing, and even in private groups. So being in a safe space with diverse thinkers is an uncommon and powerful opportunity right now. And it's even more important we make an effort to do this. Online conversations, it's a lot of reacting. Offline, in a room like this, you're in a place of creating. And this is where I see the biggest opportunity for us to come together, because no longer will our conversations arise from the outside world. We get together in a room, shut the doors. Our conversations are creating the forthcoming world. And being together in person, unplugged from the matrix, that's going to foster that incredibly well. So it's our time to reimagine, to recreate, to rebuild what we really want. And maybe what we've always wanted, but now we realize, my gosh, now really is the time. Everything we previously knew and relied upon, most every external system we had molded ourselves to, including those in our own industries, has revealed its weakness or failed completely. And now the only way forward is the way we chart our own course. Sit with that for a moment. For some of you, there have been a lot of external circumstances influencing your business. Some of you, maybe not so much, but you're feeling that calling. You're feeling like, you know what? There's something else percolating up here, and I want to really see what that is. There's never been a more important time for you to surround yourselves with other women who are big thinkers, powerful leaders, and brave visionaries. Imagine 2 days, closed doors, open minds, elevated conversations, higher concepts. I need this too. And that's why we're going to gather once again, November 3rd and 4th in Phoenix. And the great news is our priority notification list is open. If you are even just remotely curious about this event, I would like you to get on that list for a few reasons, but most important, okay, we only have 80 spots available. 17 of them have now already been reserved by several members of the trust. I made a private pre-offer at our recent meeting, so those are full. And this list is the first place we announce when seats open. It's where more details are shared about the event. And this makes it easy for me to know who's raising their hand who would really like more information. So that's at iconicwithallybrown.com. Again, even if you're just curious, I suggest you go there. And anyone who's on my list can tell you we do not abuse people who sign up for things. If you'd like a text notification when the registration goes live, give us your cell phone number there as well. There's a field for that. Okay? There are essentially 5 steps we're going to go through at Iconic, and I want you to listen to these because I'm sure these will apply to what you're working on right now. First, we're going to reset. You know, my kids are fast learning that with any gadget or tech, the best thing to do if it's not acting the way you want it to is to shut it off, give it a break, and turn it back on. To the point that now if I want them to have a reset, I said, like your computer, you need to go to your room for a few minutes and have a reset. So they know now that for anything, it's funny, like the TV, anything, they're like, well, why don't we just reset it, reboot it? And we need this too. It's another reason we need to meet in person. Do you remember when you started your business? I reminisce often because everything felt so fresh and new and the world was full of opportunities and I said yes to everything. There were so many great things ahead. You know, you didn't know the challenges that were coming. It was just a time of excitement and yes. And if a challenge came, you would deal with it. And that naivete, that fresh mind, I miss that sometimes. It was priceless. That's where we need to get our minds back to begin. Almost like a childlike mind, that curiosity. You don't want to lose that. We lose that the further down the line we get in business and in life. And in the beginning, formulas are great for getting us started, for giving us a map to follow. But you're probably reaching a point now that what worked before may not work now. Or, I see this all the time, your creative cycle is coming to an end and something new is coming up. It's time to evolve something, to create something new and fresh. That is surely where the world is pointing you right now. You're craving to venture off those marked roads. That's a higher evolution. And it's because your true genius never lies on a proven path. I want to say that again. Your true genius never relies on a proven path. So it's time to unplug from the matrix. Come join us because iconic leaders create their own laws of nature. Second step is to refine your mission. Has your mission shifted? Both your business and your personal mission. Has it expanded? Has it changed entirely? Is it more powerfully targeted now? Or is it much bigger and grander? Do you see a way it fits into what your market is craving during these times? There are some of you also who now know you are not only here to shift your industries, but an entire human collective. That's big. Number 3, hone your personal power. Hone that genius. Hone that magic. I have a secret I want to share with you. Every woman I work with actually has an unfair advantage in her business. And you do too. Not many know it. Not many even really own it. And most aren't even aware that they have it. It's your unique genius. It's incomparable to anyone else on the planet. There is no other combination of you along with your gifts. And then add the mission, by the way, and it's going to blow out of the water, but I'm not there yet. I'm getting ahead. Often when women come to me after building 7, 8-figure businesses, sometimes they're trapped in a model that doesn't come close to unlocking their genius, and they don't realize it. They don't realize it because they have already experienced more success, in quotes, than they feel they even deserve. Their brilliance has become commoditized along the way and likely lost its magic. Business may be doing fantastic, nothing wrong with that, and sometimes we don't need to touch that at all. But could there be another level to themselves, their fulfillment and joy, and their impact in the world? Yes. It's your choice whether you change your business or not. This is up to you, but this is about honing your personal power. This is a big part of my story. I had built something that was tremendously successful, tremendously incredible, influenced and helped so many people. But personally, I was feeling this craving of something else, and that felt selfish. That felt horrible. How dare I reach the goals I dreamed for, that I prayed for and asked God for, and then was craving something different, something better? I'll be sharing a lot more about that story at Iconic. But for you, think about, have you been holding yourself back from your next level of pure genius? It's time to break through. Number 4 is amp up your higher power. We just talked about your personal power. This is your higher power. In the hundreds of high-performing women I've worked with personally over my career, I see a common occurrence once they're into that 7, 8-figure range, and after they've been in business several years. Once things don't work as well as they did before, or like I just mentioned, they're starting to get bored with what they've created, they enter a new dark night of the soul. And it's somewhat related to that personal power, but right now this is a different tension than the one that may have spurred the birth of their business. It's critical that you reconnect to that higher power and that magic more than ever. This flows into the 5D conversation. This flows into the intuition and the allowing and receiving what you need to go to that next level. It's time once more to believe in yourself beyond reason. The world is moving beyond reason. Last year was beyond reason. But the world itself, this new place that we're working from, being from, tap into that. You don't need reason. to tap into this magic. And that is the magic of where we're going. This is so exciting. I can't wait to talk about this because, past years we kind of went here, but now everything's lining up. It was almost ahead of its time. This is the time for these conversations and to work through frameworks that will get you so much clearer on this by the time you leave that room. Number 5 is claim your reign. This is where you walk out and it is done. This is where the magic begins for you personally when you leave. And from that moment, you make your actions line up with your new destiny. Not only you making those amazing things happen, but amazing things begin to happen for you once you make the decision. I love the word decide because the Latin root of that literally means to cut off. You're going to walk away from the last chapter into the next one. IconicwithAllieBrown.com. Get on that priority notification list. Registration's going to open the next week or two. We're going to get the show up in a few days, and I don't want you to miss out on that. Okay, so it is coming up. Get on that list. I'm going to tell you a bit more about the event. Let me see. Not much more, but just a few things that you may want to be aware of if you are going to plan on registering. I work a bit differently than a lot of other people who lead events. I work differently than a lot of other coaches, and I work differently than I used to work. I used to have huge events. I don't anymore. And the reason is the kinds of conversations that are required and the kind of time, place, and framework for doing this kind of up-leveling and repowering is designed for women at a different level of business. Okay, so it's more of an advanced workshop. It is for the women entrepreneurs who are well past the startup stages of their businesses and their income models. And I started focusing on this market not to exclude people, but because there's so much information and so many programs and events for women at all levels. There's so much great information online that people can access that I wanted to create something for the women that were kind of outgrowing those spaces because it's sadly a place that gets a little lonely and there's not many rooms like this. That is why I have Iconic. So Iconic is an advanced workshop. It's for the women entrepreneurs who are well past the startup stages of their businesses and income models. When we open for registration, I will be sharing what our target minimums are. But to give you an idea, in the past, it's typically been in the multiple 6 figures. Still, I recommend you get on the priority notification list so you can have the complete details when we go live. There'll be a brief application, and we want to make sure this event is a right fit for you and your business. And I love leading full rooms, but I'm also not attached to filling every seat. So for an event like this, it's the quality of the people in the room that's much more important than the quantity. I'm just as happy to work with less as I would with more. I trust the process. I enjoy the result. And I suggest you do too. But in past years, we have always sold out, sometimes within the first few days of releasing the seats. So iconicwithallieBrown.com to get on that priority notification list. And there's something else, something I know that every one of the women I typically attract need to have. While the world may feel uncertain, you've never felt so sure about yourself. You feel and know that this is your time. I attract women like that. Imagine a room full of those women leaders together, plotting out their next chapter. Doors are opening. Don't lose this chance. iconicwithallieBrown.com. And if this isn't a fit for you, do me a huge favor. Please share this with another woman entrepreneur you know who is craving something so different and new circles and new conversations. So many women aren't even aware there are rooms like this that they can be a part of. Thank you. iconicwithallieBrown.com. And if it's a great fit, I hope to see you there. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Glambition Radio. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you subscribe so you automatically get my new shows every week. Also, I'd love if you left us a review so more women like you can discover us. We're on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Pandora, and other major platforms. And I'd love to hear from you personally. Come join the conversation on social. Instagram is my happy place lately, and that's Allie Brown Official, but you can find links to my other platforms at alliebrown.com. Glambition Radio is the elevated conversation for women leaders, and I'm honored you tuned in.